Hello guys, welcome back. So in this video we'll be installing and configuring Oracle 19c, that's in the RAC real application cluster, and we'll be using series storage for Oracle Grid. There's a ASM, automatic storage management. So in this demo we'll be using a main server. So in the main server we will have DNS, NTP, NFS, and reverse proxy. That's optional. So yeah, so this is the application server, and we have two Oracle DB instance. So that's in cluster configuration. That's node 1 and node 2, and there's a series storage for Oracle Grid and DB. That's a automatic storage management ASM. All right, so this is the configuration. We have rack 1 and rack 2. There's a two virtual machine, and we have DB rack as a DB like database. Okay, so let's start configuring our DNS server. So why we need the DNS server? So single client access name scan is a feature used in Oracle real application cluster environment that provides a single name for client to access any Oracle database running in a cluster. So you can think of scan as cluster as for database in the cluster. The benefit is that the client connect information doesn't need to change if you add or remove node or database in the cluster. Scan should really be defined in the DNS, like domain name service or DNS, grid naming service, and round robin between one of the three addresses which are on the same subnet as a public and virtual IPs. Okay, so we have DNS with scan listener, and for the round robin, scan IP 1, scan IP 2, and scan IP 3. So scan listener always read out the connection request to the local listener. Okay, so we have LABAL load balancer advisor, and for the rack cluster we have, so we can have multiple rack cluster defined here. Okay, the requirements, network requirement for using scan. So default scan configuration is defined during the installation of Oracle Grid infrastructure that is distributed with Oracle database live NG release 2 or higher. So Oracle Grid infrastructure is a single Oracle home that contains Oracle clusterware and Oracle automatic storage management ASM. So you must install Oracle Grid infrastructure first in order to use Oracle RAC live NG release or higher. So during the interview phase of the Oracle Grid infrastructure installation, you'll be prompted to provide the scan name. So there are two options for defining the scan. Define a scan using a corporate DNS domain name service. Define a scan using a Oracle Grid naming service, that is DNS. So in this tutorial, we'll use DNS, that's domain name service, for defining a scan. All right. So here we will have node 1 and node 2, where public host name will be rack1.mydomain.com, and for another node that should be rack2.mydomain.com, and public IP for the node 1 will be 192.168.205.10. all right, so similarly we have public IP, that's 192.168.205.20 for the rack 2, that's a node 2. So similarly we'll have LLS, that's a virtual rack1.bip.mydomain.com. similarly we have rack2.bip.mydomain.com. similarly we have virtual IP for each node, and there is a private IP and the host name for both the node. All right, for the scan we have a domain name and its corresponding IP address as in the shown in this document. Okay, so why we need this shared storage, like shared disk storage? So before starting DBCA on database configuration system to configure Oracle RAC database, you must have to install Oracle Grid infrastructure for cluster, and you must have configured shared storage areas for the Oracle RAC files. All right, shared storage is the main and critical requirement for building and managing RAC database. Whatever the number of node and database instances you may have in the RAC, all of them will be shared across the underlying storage. So setting up this shared storage, creating the hardware level structure, provisioning the adequate storage redundancy, and preparation of host level storage, logical storage unit are very important. For this setting up the needed shared storage structure at the host level of the RAC database, there are more options, right? So these options use shared storage in terms of cluster file systems, raw devices, and Oracle automated storage management ASM. So in this tutorial, we will use shared disk plus ASM combination. Let's begin with configuring our VM. That's for main server. That's DNS server, entity server, and NFS server. So click on new virtual machine and click on custom advanced one. Click on next. So you'll install the operating system later. So check that and click on Linux. And for Oracle Linux, select the version as Oracle Linux 8, 64-bit. Click on next. So give your virtual machine name and the location. So for the processor, give 1, and core processor 2. Give the virtual machine memory as 8 GB. Use network address translation net, LSI logic. That's the recommended one. Click on next. So disk type NVMe or SCSI. So we'll create a new virtual disk. Click on next. Disk capacity. So we'll keep 40 GB. And we split virtual disks into multiple files. And disk file name. Click on next. And then click on finish. Okay, go to the network adapter, click the network adapter, click on finish. Okay, so we'll have two network adapter, one for public and one for private. So here select VMnet 1, that's a host only, that's for private network. Okay, and we will start installing the Linux machine. That's a virtual machine. Okay, select your language. So for me it's English. So here we have the network adapter. Go to the IP version of setting, give your IP address for the private one. So give your IP address. So you will configure the like device selection. Alright, if all this setup is ready, click on begin installation. So your installation will proceed. Okay, click on reboot system. Okay, give the username. So for this I will be as a user, high availability user. Set the password. Okay, login as root user. Check your host name. Okay, here we have main.mydomain.com, that's for the DNS server. So check your IP config. So we have two IP, that's one for net and one for that's private host only network. So in the next step, make sure your firewall is disabled. So yes, you use the command system still disable firewall D. You stop the firewall and check the firewall status. Okay, the firewall is not running, so you will be able to connect to your virtual machine from outside the network. Okay, so for the SA Linux, set to like disable, or maybe you can set as permissive. Okay, and the next step we will install the DNS required package. That's a yum install. We install bind lib and yum bind utils. So this is the package that DNS server is used. Okay, we have successfully upgraded the package. Okay, in the next step we will back up the name.config file. Okay, so you just edit the configuration file and give the IP address of your my machine, like virtual machine. So in my case it's 192.168.205.100. all right. So also in the alloc query, set the localhost, that's 172.0.0.0 and IP address of your machine. Okay, in the next step we will add zone file, that's a name.config file. We have zone mydomain.com. So next step is to create two files, that is mydomain.forward and mydomain.reverse. Okay, this is the file content you need to set up. You will have main domain, that's a DNS server, the RAC 1 and RAC 2, that's for Oracle cluster, and the IP address of the respective virtual machine. Also there is for RAC and RAC private, scan. So all this IP address with its corresponding host name needs to be set in the mydomain.forward, that's a DNS zone file. Okay, so similarly create the one file, that's mydomain.rev, that's forward and reverse. So you can set the file as app zone, or you can simply upload the file and save it on your system, on your DNS server, Linux machine. Okay, so the next step we will start the DNS service. One, that's command service name start. Okay, and the next step we will remove the BR0 and VNIC interface. So we don't need that interface, so we'll just remove it. Okay, so here you can see we have BR0, so we'll just remove it. Okay, here we can see we have removed that back interface, network interface. Now let's check our DNS service. Okay, it seems like there is some configuration issue. Okay, I just forgot to include the colon. That's a semicolon, so that's why the error is coming up. Okay, here we can see the rewriting to bin system still start name.service, so it's started. So we'll check config name down, run the command. Okay, that seems to be fine. Okay, we'll just DNS lookup check. So NX lookup main, that main server will be using for the DNS server and all NTP and FS server. So we are getting the response. Okay, here is a host name, main.mydomain.com. Let's check for RAC1. So RAC1 is also successfully checked. Okay, so all the service, DNS service is up and running. So we'll just restart and take the snapshot, so just in case if anything goes wrong in the future, so you can just revert it back. Okay, so what actually is NTP server? So NTP server, Oracle cluster requires in the same time zone environment variable setting on all the cluster node. During the installation process pick up the time zone environment variable setting for the grid installation owner on the node where Oracle Universal Installer UI runs. Okay, so we'll install Crony package. Okay, Crony is installed. We'll just start the Crony service. System still start Crony D. And then we will enable this Crony. Okay, we'll check the status of the Crony D. Okay, status is active and running. NTP client server is started, so I think we are good to go. Okay, you can check NTP info, Crony-n, and then tracking. Okay, and also you can check the resource like sources. Okay, seems to be fine. So in the next step, we will modify crony.conf file. Just backup it and we will add the IP address for the DNS server. So make sure you restart your Crony service. Okay, the next step, we'll be installing NFS server, network file server. So network file system is a choice for Oracle RAC shared storage. We can put the following file system NFS: Oracle OCR, the cluster registry and voting disks, Oracle cluster web binaries, Oracle RAC binaries, and Oracle database file and Oracle recovery files. Alright, so we will create the directories. Your grid home. Okay, make directories your grid home and your DB home, the two directories, and one for the shared data. Okay, now edit the export file. That's on the GTC file. Okay, we'll add this information. Save it. Okay, now start the NFS server. System still enable RPC bind. Alright, start and enable the NFS server. Okay, similarly start the RPC bind and start it. Start the NFS server. Okay, the next step we will be checking if our shared directory configuration is successfully done or not. Okay, here you can see our two directories, there's a shared grid home and DB home are completely configured. Alright guys, thank you for watching. So this is the end of the part 1. So subscribe the channel for part 2 and part 3, so make sure you will get notified when we upload the new videos. So we also have different Oracle installation tutorial video, so make sure check those also. So I'll give the link in the description box. So thank you and stay tuned.